Hello, Facebook, and welcome to our webinar series, Are You There? Engaging Customers Beyond the Showroom. So we have a great show ready for you, and we're going to do things a little bit differently because we've gotten some excellent feedback from our audience, and we're excited about hearing back from you and what you want to hear about. And so we are going to do a little bit of a strategy session, if you will, at the beginning of the show. And then I have some awesome guests that I can't wait to introduce you to. And then we're going to go through our live discussion with those guests, Will Churchill and John Durrani. I think I got that right. I think I pronounced that right this time, Durrani. So we're looking forward to talking to both of those guys in just a few minutes. So if you're going to bear with me, or if you will bear with me a little bit as I try to work the technical aspect of this, we're going to go through a few slides. Yeah, it's about 500 slides, so we'll be here for about another 3 hours. I'm kidding. So let's talk about how things are going out there. And what I wanted to do is show a little bit of a trend. Ooh, see that? That was kind of nice. So here we are. I think what we can all say is we're starting to move out of the trench that we were in a couple of weeks ago. And it's clearly evident through the usage of the Insignia system, as you can see, as we continue to trend up in usage. So this is great news. That means that folks are selling cars and they're looking at accessories and selling accessories while they are selling those cars. One other note that I wanted to tell everybody out there, this was shared from the Hedges Company. You can look them up online, hedgescompany.com. Seem to be a research company doing a lot of great and valuable research, especially during this time. They shared this graphic, and it was shared around LinkedIn, and I picked up on it and wanted to make sure that I pointed out to our audience, and let's see if I can do this with my mouse. This line here was accessories, this dark line here. And if you think that your customers aren't sitting at home buying accessories, think again, right? So this outpaced OEM replacement parts, which makes sense. It also outpaced light truck and off-road parts, this line here. The only thing that beat it was power sports and performance racing. So I feel like that's a true indication of the opportunity that is out there, that when you sell a car, your customers are going to accessorize that car. So to us, that's exciting news, and it's also justification that we do what we do, right? So let's talk about engaging those customers at home and how best to do that. So this is really a shout out to Val from the Tony Group. She watched our webinar and sent us an awesome email that said, I enjoyed your guest, but I didn't get any tips or tricks or any, really good best practices out of either one of those videos. So this is for you, Val. So the first and foremost thing we want to make sure you're doing is on your website, your dealership website, develop a strategy for where your accessories link for your accessories system should go. Now, most dealership websites will put them under the parts and accessories tab. And I'm going to go to the next slide here. So this is a typical place that most dealership websites have the link to your accessory site. All right. Oh, you're welcome, Val. She posted a little thank you. So most dealership websites have it here. And this is a dealer.com website, so no endorsement of dealer.com. I'm just using it as an example. And we recommended to our Jaguar Land Rover store in Charlotte to add their accessory system to your tips and your shopping tools. Some sites call it actually a shopping tool. Some call it specials and tools, that type of thing. So on both tabs, it's their vehicle accessory personalization is there under both of these tabs, which is a great way to help customers find it. It's also a great way to help your salespeople find this link, so they're not going through parts and service and they're searching around on the site. No problem with going to parts and service, but really, this is a showroom tool. Yes, parts and service are involved, but this is really for your showroom, and this is really for where you want to sell vehicles and sell accessories and personalization with those vehicles. So we highly, highly recommend that if there's any way possible you can get it under that new car tab, well, that's really the place to put it. Because if your customers are shopping your inventory, they see that tab under new vehicles, and then they know exactly where to go after they've selected the vehicles. So that's website strategy there. And we actually just released today a video on our YouTube page. So yes, shameless plug for our YouTube page. Find us on YouTube at Insignia Group. We've got lots of cool videos, and we released one today, that is a full walkthrough. Again, we were using the Jaguar Land Rover platform because, well, they're cool cars, and we have lots of accessories configured on them. So it's a great site to review. And we've got a narrated how-to for your salespeople and for your folks to review this video and get confident with how to present accessories during the car sale. So after you've watched that video, you sure want to check out the other fun videos we have, like our chili cook-off videos. I mean, those are famous. So feel free to watch those as well. All right. One other little bit of a shout out to the feedback that we've gotten is helping sales folks understand, again, loading up the lips. We talk about that in sales training. Why do you want to have a customer buy accessories from your dealership? Well, these are the top 4 main reasons. And then finance is obviously broken up into 2 little sub reasons. But these are the 4 main reasons that you can share with your customers. And what we have here on this slide is convenience as the header, and then a little bit of a word track to help a salesperson present this. So convenience, fit and finish, finance, taxes and payments, depending on where you live. In the great state of South Carolina, it costs us a whopping $600 to pay taxes on a new vehicle. So you can wrap all of your accessories and your payment for your vehicle into one nice tax amount. So I know some states are like that. Some other states are like that as well. So, and then warranty. So these are those 4 main categories of things to help you talk to your customers. Why do you want to buy it here, Mr. Customer? This is why I'm offering it to you. These are the advantages you have. Especially when you're representing OE accessories, that fit and finish is a great way to represent those accessories that are designed specifically for the vehicle. So, how's everybody doing out there? We got some great comments. We've got a good little audience going. This is nice. I think we're ready to bring in our guests. Hopefully that was right on the money. Look at that, 10 minutes. I told the guys backstage that I was shooting for 10 minutes. So without further ado, again, pardon your tech crew here. I'm going to bring on Will Churchill and John Durrani. So Will and John, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
So John, you are connected on your iPhone, as we've talked about, and we found out we had a little technical issue. So audience, I ask for your patience. It sounds like I have a little gerbil typing all of my words. We're just gonna have to run through it. It turns out it's a little iPhone issue that StreamYard has. So, gentlemen, welcome to the show. What I want to do is ask each of you, Will starting first, to just introduce yourself to the audience, where you're from, what you do, and a little bit about your background in the automotive industry, and then we'll chat a little bit more about where the industry is and where we're all going.
Perfect. So Will Churchill from Fort Worth, Texas, with the Frank Kent family of dealerships and the Southwest Accessory Group. I am a fourth generation car dealer. So my great grandfather started back in 1935. Started a couple different accessory aftermarket shops, and then we teamed up with General Motors back in 2005 to work with their ADI program, and then teamed up with Ford in January of this year to help with their Ford accessory program.
Awesome. Mr. John?
All right, John Durrani, Toyota Smithfield, Rhode Island. I've been with Toyota almost 18 years now, and I'm a general manager here at the store. And I've been in the accessory business a long time. I love it. I think it's a great profit center for the store. And right now, just trying to lead my team out of this disorder and enjoying every day, making the best of it.
Great. Well, again, thank you both for being on the show. What I find interesting about both of you, and John, I'm gonna go back and forth because I feel like if I mute your there, it'll cut that little clicking out. So I promise I'll bring you on. I won't keep you on mute the entire time. And what I really appreciate about you both joining is that you really come from a very diverse background in the automotive industry. So we've got, one area of the country, another area of the country. Again, politics aside, and all of that aside, there's other formats for that. But your areas really have been dealing with this in two very different ways. So what I'd like for you to do is sort of talk about how those ways have affected what you're seeing in the showrooms. And then maybe we'll talk a little bit more about how we deal with both of those sort of polar opposites, because I think they are polar opposites, if you would agree.
Yeah.
So John,
yeah, absolutely.
Tell us about your kind of how your area is dealing with it.
Yeah, so we're right in the middle of New York City and Boston, and we probably saw the worst of it. We were shut down in majority of we were shut down all April. We were shut down part of March and first half of May here. So for us, it's an all new reality. It's change of life. The way we do business every day changed. Mindset had to be changed. So it's, I think it was long time coming, and we just didn't prepare for it, right? We didn't prepare for this online business, this online selling, contactless transaction, and so now we're forced, willingly or unwillingly, we got to deal with it. And, I think here, at least my store, my team, they've done a fantastic job. And we have adapted. It's all about adaptation right now. And we're changing the way we're doing business. It's changing daily. It's evolving. And as leaders, we have to be resilient, and we have to be willing. So that's where we're at. I mean, we were down, we were expected to be down about 70%. We're blessed and fortunate. We were only down about 48% last month in April. We're starting to climb back. There's a new normal. And we're trying to make the best of it.
Yeah. Now, when you say you were shut down, do you mean parts and service and sales, or just just your sales department?
Just our sales department. But we with majority of the businesses being shut down in the state, it's with all the news and the pandemic itself, it's tough getting people in the door.
Yeah.
It's tough, even parts and service. My entire thought process through it all was, how do I make it easy? How do I get the message out there that we're here, we're going to take care of you, we're going to take all the precautions, and we're prepared, and we'll fight this together, and still come out and give us a shot, right? So, easier said than done, but I think, considering things, my team was able to do a nice job.
That's awesome. And Will, how about you guys?
David, I kind of got to break it into two different silos. We got the dealership side, and then we got the accessory distribution side. So from the dealership side, kind of like John, I mean, we were deemed essential business. So service and parts stayed open, body shops stayed open, but sales was by appointment only. So that's where we differ from what was going on with John. And, as he stated, the environment's changing. We were changing, they were changing the rules weekly, and we kept addressing them. We put in some pretty good protocols that we feel, and I think that the protocols will, help us as we go down the road with customers and keeping a cleaner, safer work environment for everybody. We're probably off from a revenue perspective, 37% on the dealership side, so just right on top of where John's feeling it. Customers are, they're coming back through the showroom, but it's a different experience. You can't shake hands. You can't, you got to stay 6 feet apart. So that's a little different. From an e-commerce perspective, we were set up pretty well for it. We'd already moved out our BDC. We've always been trying to look at, could we get those people to work from home? And I was always told no. And then when this started facing us, I said, well, we're not going to have a clue. We're not going to have a choice. So we did it and ended up paying for some high-speed internet lines at people's houses that didn't have it. And it's working pretty good. In fact, I just got a text right before we went on the air. Are we going to bring these people back into the dealership? And my initial reaction was, not right now if it's working. We want to try and limit the number of possibilities that someone could be infected, or, kind of try and keep that head count to a minimum. So on the accessory side, serving 7 states, that's really been an enjoyable task. As you stated, everyone's got their own way of handling it. So we pulled our reps out of stores back probably around March 15th with 0 store contacts. And we are just now this week starting to make store contacts. But before we do, we're sending a letter to the dealer principal. They have to sign off on the fact that they want us in their store. And then they have to tell us who they want us to see. And then after we have a site visit, then we report all that information back into a CRM tool, so that if we do have an infection with one of our reps, then we can track the tree all the way down to everyone that they've had a conversation with. So, it's a completely different situation, but it's, it's what separates, us.
Yeah, so lots to dive into there. So going back to the dealership side of things, you said that you had already sort of made moves to e-commerce. Now, are you meaning more selling cars online e-commerce, or were you necessarily talking about parts and accessories e-commerce?
As far as facilitating customers' needs online, as far as getting the appointments set up. from it's still in the state of Texas, you can't get a full contract. There's still a document that requires wet ink. So to fully do a car deal online does not exist right now, which is crazy. You can buy a house, you can buy all kinds of stuff with DocuSign, but for some reason with the car deal, there's still one document that needs wet ink. So, you can overnight that, but to have a true online process, it doesn't fully exist right now.
Right. So then moving your BDC to a home-based BDC and then not potentially bringing them back to the office, I think you're not unlike many just regular companies. I mean, Insignia's thinking about the same thing. We probably we have remote employees, and the idea of having a centralized location for our headquarters was like, well, of course, I mean, everybody that works, in Rock Hill or greater Charlotte area, that's where you go to work. And now we have, I think, 2 or 3 people who are just in the office, and we've got this big office and 3 people in it. So we're all kind of thinking through those things. And I, like you, it was sort of a, wow, we're making this work from people working from home. I wonder how long this will become, or I wonder if this will become sort of a permanent thing. And I kind of feel like it is. So on the distribution side of things, interested in perspective of what, I guess, what's the value of sending folks into stores at this point? Was that something that you felt like was necessary obviously was necessary at this point in time? Is that not more, I guess I don't mean it to sound like it's confrontational, like judging, but I mean, sort of, what are your thoughts about, those folks also being sort of remote workers as well? I mean, we're kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah, they are remote workers, but it's very tough to put in processes inside of a dealership without face-to-face and being there and looking at it. And so as business has slowed down across our network, there's no better time than now to sharpen your knife and get your samurai sword ready. And so they're going in, they're putting in processes, they're training. Training's easily done via the online tools. But as far as physically setting up displays and trying to take some of that lifting off of the sales managers and the dealers, you've got to physically be there and do it. And like I said, we're only doing it if dealers raise their hand and say, yes, please come in and help. We're not just showing up. And I mean, there's a whole long list before we ever show up. So if our goal is to be a value add and do whatever we can to help them through the process.
Yeah. So John, I'll turn it back to you for just a comment about sort of now as you are moving out into sort of figuring out how to get people back into your stores. What are you doing to train, to sort of create that new training for your folks, not only just to sell cars, but also to make sure that the accessories process is in place?
Yeah, so it's it's evolving and it's an ongoing adjustment, right? So what we're doing is we're using technology, we're using Darwin, we're using online menus, and we're emailing and same thing with our accessories, right? We're emailing links to let our customers. We're kind of sitting home and are on the computer more than ever before, right? We're letting them have an opportunity to personalize and play around and build their cars. We're having a lot of success with that. And same thing with vehicle purchases. For some reason we were afraid to send that model link or options to our customers, right? The old mentality was the more options, the more choices you're going to give them, you're going to somehow mess up the sale, right? So, right now, I think more than ever before, people are looking for options. They are looking for choices. And that's what we're doing. We're sending out, here's a link to our inventory. Here's all the models and features that kind of match your request and your interest. And we're sending a link to our Insignia site and letting them personalize it, accessorize it. So it's a daily conversation that's happening throughout the store. like my general sales manager, he put it the best way. He's like, we're just one big giant BDC now. And that's what it's all about, right? And that's where we start the day, and that's where we end the day, right? It's interesting, and it's working. And that's where people are. They're not walking in the showroom. They're not out on the lot. So we have to prepare, right? A completely different mindset, and let's give our clients, our customers, what they want. Let's make it easy for them to do business.
Yeah. Will, I'll take it back to you just for a quick second. I know that your mission to sell accessories from the distributor side is very similar to our mission to help dealerships realize this potential. What do you see in your area and across both brands that you distribute for? What do you see as the reasons why in today's day and age, kind of take the pandemic out of it for a second, but just why a dealership wouldn't have some sort of an accessories process? What are the big reasons you're seeing that they don't have an accessories process?
I think there's two reasons to it. One, it's another process to manage, but greater than that too, there's this extreme false belief that any accessory sales that you hang on a car is less F&I product sales you have the potential to sell. And so it's a really old school mentality that people have, that if I sell them accessories, then I can't sell them an extended warranty or gap or any of that. And so there's people that are caught in that mindset, and that's probably the toughest one to overcome. But then the other one is it's a process, and successful dealers are great at managing processes, and the ones that aren't successful can't manage processes. So now you want to give them another process, and they're just like, I can't manage this. So that would probably be the two greatest reasons I would show.
Yeah. Well, I will take another shameless opportunity to plug. We did a white paper on that very subject of accessories cannibalizing F&I. And so anybody who's watching, comment in the comments and we'll send you that white paper. Otherwise, you could probably find it on our website. And it hits the heart of that. And what we did is we used information that was readily available from all of the major dealer groups. So they report their F&I product sales and their accessory sales as part of their functions of reporting their financials, those that are publicly held. And we compared the two. And we showed that as they were growing their accessory sales, in fact, their F&I sales continue to grow. And that's what we generally see. Is that when you develop that process of presenting vehicle personalization, it actually improves your F&I product sales. And we always joke about, it's the easiest pitch. Mr. Customer, you just added $5,000 worth of accessories to that vehicle. Are you sure you don't want an extended warranty? And pretty easy pitch right there. So great. Well, let me take it back to John and say, John, from your perspective in your area, being a Toyota dealership, I know you have connections with other dealers and other dealer groups. What do you see as sort of the big reason in your area or in your experience with other general managers that they don't get into this? I mean, I'm sure you try to convince them of it, but what are some of the reasons you hear at this day and age that they don't want to get into this business?
Well, I think Will kind of hit it right on the head, and I want to add to what he said. I think there's an accountability. There's a process issue, and lack of training. And I dealt with that my first year when we jumped into the accessory business. Right, there were all sorts of challenges and barriers. And of course, F&I was a challenge. We won't be able to get the advance we need. I'll add a couple more items to what Will said. And of course, we won't be able to sell our product. We may lose the deal. The payment's going to get too high. Right? Just a lot of little fear factor there. But we held on to our guns and we're like, no, we believe in it. And we treat it as a front end product. And and I've learned over the years, every finance manager who's afraid of accessories is probably not really doing a good job selling or building value in the product that they have to sell or offer, right? And I've done F&I, so I can take that shot right at them. But the reality is this: if you treat it as a separate profit-making department within your business, and you enforce it, and you put in good processes, and you have training, and you have a dedicated person managing that for you, it could be a tremendous opportunity, and everyone doing their part, doing their job, it all works out at the end. But yes, there are some very common fear factors that Will and I share, and I think they're kind of the same all through the country.
Yeah, I'll share a story. This was Gary Yeoman's Ford, because it's a happy ending story. I was doing training for them when they first signed up with us many, many, many years ago. And I had a finance manager who sat for 30 minutes and told me all the reasons why this wouldn't work. And I just finally got tired, and I was like, look, your dealership signed up for this, for God's sakes. Just try it on the first customer. And if it doesn't work, then fire us. I don't care, but I'm just tired of sitting here hearing you say it won't work, right? So I leave. About 3 hours later, because I was traveling around Florida, I get a call, and this is no embellishment. I get a call from that finance manager. He's like, you are not going to believe this story. And he goes into telling me how they had spent about 2 or 3 hours working this guy on a Ford F-150. He came in, it's like, this is it. I can't pay anymore, can't pay anymore. He gets into the finance office. They've got the deal completely done. And he goes, hey, I want a tonneau cover. And the guy's like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, I want a tonneau cover. I saw it in your accessory catalog you showed me a few minutes ago. I want that tonneau cover. He's like, but, and he goes, bam, and puts down $1,200 in cash right there. Boom. And the finance manager said, I about lost my mind, because we had worked this guy and worked this guy and worked this guy, and he had the cash sitting aside. So part of that F&I story that we have, or not story, but the white paper is talking about that it really is a two-step process in selling accessories. So you sell the car, well, it's a three-step process. You sell the car, you sell the accessories, and then you go into finance. And ultimately, what they're doing is the customer is holding back that extra cash, that extra amount of money that they know they want to personalize with. They're holding it back. And unless you ask for it, you don't get your shot at it. So that was just kind of a funny story that I remember, and I share a lot. And I'll pick up on one other little dig, which was, you said it best, John. You said, an F&I manager is supposed to be like one of the best salespeople in the store. So forget those F&I managers out there, but if you can't close an accessory deal, are you really the best sales guy in the store? So there's a way to influence those guys and gals.
Yeah.
Let's talk about kind of how your dealerships have been sort of dealing with this sort of on a global level, and talk about whether or not your stores have done anything in the communities. What have you done to reach out to your community in this time? And do you have anything special you wanted to talk about? I give that for all of our guests. John, you want to go first?
Yeah, absolutely. We've launched a couple campaigns. We tried out a campaign called "We Can't Hug You, but We Can Wash Your Car for free," right? And we started out with that, and we had a really good response. That led to, hey, we can't hug you, but we'll pay for half of your service bill. And this was for first responders and medical caregivers.
Nice.
And you know what? It's been a great twofold story. where we've seen increase in our parts and service business, of course, in our fixed ops. But most importantly, a lot of goodwill out in the community, and first responders is a big part of our community here. Very active, and we're very close to the local police department and the fire department. So it's been a great partnership there. But the intention was to really create some goodwill, really try to give something back. Hey, we're here, we care. We're not just a car dealership trying to just sell cars. We're all part of what's happening, and we want to support and do our part. In return, call it karma. Just it was we saw a great spike in our fixed ops, so we're still carrying that, and we've added a component to it, which is our right now with every pre-owned purchase, we're including 3 years of complimentary maintenance. So all trying to link that back to our fixed ops, and we're seeing good results from it.
Great. And what I'll say before I will turn it back over to Will is for those audience members, we've held a great little audience. If you've got some questions, post them in the comments. I can see the comments. I was just looking at them there a second ago. If you've got a question for one of our guests, put it in the comments and we'll ask it and talk about it on air. So Will, I'm sure your family-owned business. I'm sure you've reached out to the community. Will you tell us what you've done there in Texas?
Yeah, I think we followed a lot of the same playbook as John. So we went out with an extremely large discounted parts and service rate. We made ours available to all community members, not just frontline people. And then what we also did is we're closed on Sunday, but we realized that frontline workers, Sunday may be their only day off to get their car worked on from a service perspective. Texas, you can only be open for sales 6 days a week. So but for service, you can be open 7 days a week, and we weren't there. And so for the last month and a half, we decided that the teams wanted to see if they could, work on Sundays to try and help the frontline people. So we were taking care of clients on a Sunday. We have since stopped that. In fact, last Sunday, Sunday before Mother's Day was our last Sunday to do that on. And then with our pickup and delivery, we realized that people aren't wanting to, if they're utilizing pickup and delivery service, they're not really wanting to get out. So we're bringing them a take and bake pizza kit, and we're getting a lot of positive response from that. Families are getting together, making pizzas. And so we partnered with a local pizza brewery place, Fort Brewery in Fort Worth, and they deliver us like 10 kits a day. And then we send those out when we deliver the cars back to the people, and clients are really enjoying that, making pizzas. And for some people, it's providing a meal that they don't have to pay for, which is a pretty big deal. And then, from a company perspective internally, we haven't laid anyone off or furloughed anyone. So our goal was to not add to the unemployment problem in the state of Texas. So we have all of our employees are being made whole through this. And, we're just kind of putting our chin down. We've got right at 400 employees roughly. So to try and not put any of those into the unemployment system is, we think, a huge benefit.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's the reason why we connected over LinkedIn. Of course, long history together through the ADI program. But I saw your post on LinkedIn that said, "Hey, we're hiring," which was, completely different than everything else, gloom and doom out there. And I was so impressed with that ultimately that's why I asked you on the show. I just thought that was awesome. So when you put that out there, what was the response to that? I'm sure it was a little overwhelming.
It was it was like nothing that we've experienced before. We are getting over 30 applications a day.
Oh my goodness.
We've got a gentleman who is in charge of that process now. He's done over 200 phone interviews. So that's the people that get, to the next round. And, there's just a lot of great talent out there. A lot of people want to move to Texas. We've we're moving someone from Florida, from Kansas, from California, from Tennessee, moving people from all over the country into Texas. And so it's been a great story that we've been able to take this negative and really improve our team.
That's fantastic. So, all right. So we've got some questions that are starting to pop up in the feed. I'm going to start us off with one. I'm going to ask John to start off with it because we've heard this a couple of times on previous episodes, and I want to get your pulse on it. So the idea that this summer, as we are moving into the summer, we are going to have really a flood of new sales, and it's going to be a pretty hot summer sales season. Do you think there is a ton of pent-up demand because everybody's been sitting home for the last 6 weeks? And how are you preparing for that? So,
yeah, that's a real good question. As leaders, we have to prepare for that, right? I do believe that there's going to be a pent-up demand that's going to.
Oh no, we lost John. All right, well, hopefully he'll come back. I'm gonna put him on mute till he comes back, hopefully, and I'll turn that back over to you, Will. What are your thoughts for sort of a summer sales sort of wave that might be coming?
I think the true answer for us is, as John was saying, as a leader, you want to tell your team, yeah, it's coming. It's going to be a big sales rally, and all is going to be great. But the truth of it is, this what we're going through has been like nothing we've experienced before. And what you think is going to happen doesn't happen, and what you don't think is going to happen does happen. I mean, our sales have been more resilient through this than I would have expected. But are we going to return back to 2018, 2019 levels? I'm not sure that. I don't know. I don't have the prognostication to tell you. The fact that we're out hiring and improving our team, I'm very bullish on it. But to sit here and tell everyone that we're going to call a 16 5-star market, I'm not prepared to do that.
Well, it's probably the wisest, course of action to say that, and I think that's great. So, welcome back, John. Go ahead and finish your thought there in terms of whether or not there'll be a tidal wave of sales.
Well, it's good to be back. Yeah, I do believe so. And as far as how are we preparing for it, and very similar to Will, we were very limited on our layoffs, and we were blessed and fortunate to have a fantastic team in place, which took years and months to build, and we didn't want to lose anyone. So we're counting on bringing everyone, having everyone here prepared, ready to go. We do believe that that we'll have a great summer. I don't, considering things, I don't think we'll get back to where we were, just not yet. But I think things are going to get much better. We'll have a new normal, and we'll have new ways of doing business. And once again, I'm going to keep going back to, if we don't adapt, we won't succeed. So, it's getting our team prepared, and leading them to this new way of doing business. So it's gonna come down to whoever's willing and whoever's ready to handle that new way of business. I think is going to be successful. So we'll have this new success. We'll have this new format of business, and I think it's here. We just got to get prepared for it.
Nice. So let's take one question that came in. I thought it was a good kind of a shift question. talking about the CSI reviews during this time, and how have you seen those change? Or, I mean, I guess an appendage to that would be, are CSI surveys actually going out right now? I mean, that they may not even be going out, but are you seeing any differences in your CSI scores through the last 6 weeks of the vehicles that you are selling? And I'll unmute you, John, if you want to start, and then Will can answer.
So we Toyota as a manufacturer, for the year 2020, they're experimenting with an all new CSI platform. So we don't really have a scoring system currently in place, at least here in the Boston region. But we still have customer feedback. They're not scores. They're different alerts, different levels of alerts. But I have to say that I think our customers are, at least on the sales side, a lot more patient, and their responses have been fantastic. And also on the fixed op side, I'm seeing less and less, I don't want to say negative responses, but I see more patient on customers' end. They could, they're relating to what's happening. They understand. They're acknowledging what we're all kind of dealing with and facing. But I want to go back to the sales end, because there's more communication via email. There's more texting, and I think that has tremendously impacted our communication with our customers, which I believe is the number one concern or issue item on CSI or on a survey, right? It's the lack of communication from our end to our customers. As the communication has increased, as responses are going back quicker than ever before, I'm seeing less and less, concern or poor responses from our customers.
Great. Will, thoughts on that, on the CSI side of things, what you're seeing?
Yeah, I mean, I think John's spot on with everything. I think customers are more understanding right now. I think this pandemic, as negative as it is, has kind of brought us all back to realize that we're all humans, and we make mistakes. When you have as many transactions as we do a day, we'll do 120 ROs a day, which means we have 120 customer interactions a day. And, we're humans and we make mistakes. And in the past, you weren't given any latitude to make a mistake. You had to be perfect. And now, everyone kind of sees everyone as humans, and you're allowed to make a mistake, and we address it quickly and, try and take care of it as promptly as possible, to where the customer isn't impacted. And I'm seeing that, customers are giving us that latitude to, do what's right. They've given us the benefit of the doubt. And I'm also seeing a huge, it's not so much in CSI, but on our social media is where we're getting these pizza kits. I mean, people are getting their pizza kits and they're posting, "Hey, thank you, Frank Kent, for, making my family night special, and look what they delivered." And so from a social media perspective, it's been a huge boost as well. But I just think humanity is returning to a better spot than we were before it. And I think we're all going to experience that.
Well, that's awesome. So we are about 50 minutes in, and I think the customer comments on the Facebook have come through, and they're really good. We really appreciate you guys being with us today. Your insight was awesome. The conversation was great. We really appreciate you being on the show and sharing that wisdom and insight. So we are going to be back again in 2 weeks, May 27th, with 2 more interviewees, and we'll have some more tips and tricks. And we really appreciate everybody that tuned in. Thank you very much. You can reach us at insigniagroup.com. We'd love to hear more feedback. We'd love to continue the conversation. That's really what this is all about. So you can hit us up on our website, all of our social media. check out our YouTube page. I also want to put a plug in there for our podcast that we use specially to talk to salespeople in car dealerships. So this is a podcast called Next Up Accessories. It can be found anywhere that you have a podcast or anywhere you listen to your podcast. And it's really talking to salespeople in dealerships. We've got some neat guests on there that talk about vehicle personalization, how to incorporate it into your overall process. And we've got about 6 or 7 episodes out there and some great guests. So I encourage everybody to check those out. So Will, John, thank you very much. And everyone else, thank you very much.
Thank you. We're out.